Welcome to another episode of Uncensored Daily Radar, where your fellow foiled friend scans the entire globe for what may or may not be artificial and nefarious activity. We go through satellite radar as well as the zippity zip zap radar, aka NEXRAD, to better understand atmospheric and environmental conditions in full context. Before we get started, there are a few things that you should know. Number one, I repeat, I am not a meteorologist, but I am a tinfoil hat wearing conspiracy theorist, which obviously makes me far more qualified to analyze atmospheric conditions. Number two, videos are fairly short, but feel free to skip ahead to any section you're most interested in. And lastly, if you'd like to see these daily radar videos, please consider becoming a paid subscriber. Otherwise, this video is about to reach a paywall, and we'll pause right now. Now. Okay. All right, let's get started. Good evening. It is November 19th, about 7:35 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Let's get started. I feel like I need confetti or something. All right, so we're going to do a general overview, what's happening on NEXRAD. Then we're going to go check out some data and then look at some news. Come back, we're going to zoom in and do a deep dive. And then we're going to check out some trails. Actually, I'm going to move around the map. This loaded really well for me and it's not glitchy. So I'm taking advantage of it, guys. Actually, we're going to just check this out real fast. We'll come in and do a deep dive at the normal time. But because this is moving so well, I'm not going to freeze it. I'm just going to let it go. Obviously, we will pause it later. Lots and lots of trails coming in, actually. You know what? I have to pause it. Yes. They were coming in. There were some in Mexico coming up. I think they're still there. They're just harder to see. Yeah. Okay, yeah. For sure. They're right here. See that? Yep. Lots of trails coming in through Texas. Guys, Texas. That's a lot of trails, man. And I'm not seeing anything unusual on NEXRAD for the area. We'll see how that goes. But when we get into the news, Texas is preparing for pretty bad flooding. So we're going to keep an eye on that and see if anything nefarious is possibly at play. All right, yeah, lots of trails through here. Oh my gosh. Let's just pause it here for a second. All through here. Lines going up in Canada. Let's play this a little slower, shall we? Yep. Okay, lines in the Pacific. We'll switch satellites for that, though, to get a better view. Look at all this. Trails in the Atlantic. Ooh, trails around this. This actually... This is reminiscent of... Oh, no. Okay, good. I'm not going to do any alterations to the settings. This looks like the beginning or the end of a tropical system, like tropical depression. I mean, that's not what it is. There's nothing out. I don't think there's anything out here. But looks interesting. And it is loaded with trails. Ooh, look at all those. Look at those high altitude black lines. Zip, 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 zip. Those are going over to Europe. Europe to see those aren't the words. The wonderful Wizard of Oz. I hear he is a whiz of a whiz. If ever a whiz there was. If ever a whiz there was. The Wizard of Oz is one because. Because of the wonderful things he does. Doodly-doodly-doo. This is South America. We've got trails coming in off the coast, as we have been seeing for weeks now, going into Chile and Argentina. Yeah, I guess I'm doing trails first. Not really zooming in, though. Oh, man, see, it was perfectly loaded. That's why I was doing this. We're like ultra zoomed in. I'm just getting an idea. All right, so yeah, I mean, there's a crazy amount of trails in the southern and the entire eastern region of the U.S. Sorry, central. And you know what, guys? I mean, they're pretty much everywhere. I'm just not seeing any obvious trails over like Nevada and Utah, but I mean, like every other state. I mean, California's got trail haze coming in from the Pacific. So does Oregon and Washington. I see trails getting left everywhere. Every state has issues. We all got issues right now, unfortunately. Okay, now let's look at NEXRAD first, as we normally do. Every single glow you see here is a NEXRAD radar station. The official statement is that's just simply Doppler radar, helping us track weather systems, give us forecasts, things like that. The conspiracy theory, though, is that these towers are equipped with more technology than just Doppler, but that they are capable of manipulating the weather in various ways. One of those ways being that it can heat up the atmosphere. And that is critical because if you can heat up the atmosphere, you can do multiple things. Number one, you can create, well, obviously drought and heat waves. But number two, you create high pressure zones. And high pressure zones can be used as barriers. They are natural barriers to low pressure systems, aka storms. When storms, those are low pressure areas, come up to a high pressure zone, it will be redirected. It will be discouraged from entering that area. So theoretically, if you were a diabolical genius, right, and you wanted to hit a certain area with a hurricane, you could surround on either side. You could surround the hurricane with high pressure zones, encouraging the low pressure system to go in whatever path you want. You could encourage the storm to go wherever you want, essentially. So yes, you can create high pressure zones, you can create heat and drought, and also when you excessively heat up an area next to a space that isn't heating up, you're creating massive temperature swings and collisions of like pretty different temperatures. So, super hot, normal, probably much cooler. When they come into contact, you create massive amounts of wind. Also, some people do theorize that these towers can be used as direct energy weapons or even to manipulate humans themselves. As we all know, as many of us know, every single thing that's in existence is a vibration. Light is a vibration. We are all frequency. And you could literally control anything with the bombardment of certain frequencies. So I see why many people do suspect that that could be what's occurring in certain areas at certain times. I don't know for sure, but that's just one of those theories. And also, a lot of people think that these towers can be used in conjunction with cell towers. Not that they're actually cell towers, but maybe like NEXRAD, they're equipped with technology beyond just allowing people to communicate on their phones and access data. I've been trying to make these glasses work since I sat on them about 3 months ago. And I got these. These were new, right? Were these new? No. Did I? I need to pause this because I can't remember and I'm freaking out. I just don't. What? Okay, no, these aren't new. I had these fixed. I dropped them also in a boiling pot of water once and they're holding on. Literally. They're like barely holding on to my face. If I look down, they fall right off. All right, so since last night, okay, looks like there's trails in here, but we already know that because we've looked. This area, guys, right here has been going insane. Honestly, I think that was before all those fires broke out, guys. So look at the fire maps actually updating now. It still looks like there's something going on over here. Let's see what's up with these fires over here. 18th. The last report for this was on the 13th. 17th, 17th, 18th. Supposedly, this is where the smoke is right now. So, I mean, again, what came first, the chicken or the egg? That fire map was like frozen for weeks. It's actually kind of hard to tell when the fire's ignited. I could tell you when Nextthread started doing this just by looking at my show. It's been probably about 7 days straight that it's been doing this, maybe a little longer. So I'm noticing some flickering towers that are going off of the server. Like that one just came back online. That was off. These are flickering around here. That one too again. That one. Okay, but besides some of the towers going off, in fact, let's get more time, shall we? So this was last night. At night, they get more sensitive. So as you can see, they get more sensitive from east to west as the sun is setting. Here we go. We're in nighttime now. Okay, and then you're going to see sunrise coming. This kind of goes pretty nuts around sunrise. Yeah, thankfully, I'm not seeing anything that I would normally see before, like apocalyptic flooding or tornadoes. Looks like there's trails in here and here, just from the way that the precipitation looks on radar. But yeah, we'll have to watch Texas and see, because they're saying that it's not yet arrived. So I want to see how that precipitation is treated when it's finally there. Yeah, and again, this area, crazy. All right, let's go check out some data and some news, and then we'll come back. Fog, still. Dense fog. They called it super fog. Super fog. In central Texas, severe flood watch. This is where we need to keep an eye. This is where we need to really watch. And all these little numbers I threw on the air quality station monitoring. Ooh, South Carolina has that's really bad air quality. 119? Why are we seeing this? What's the general... Gotta be a fire, right? Oops, cannot see. It looks like those are out though. Active. They say these are active too, but I wonder if they're like delayed in that, because it says this has been active since July, but it's only burned down 124 acres and there hasn't been a report in a week, so I don't know. It's really bad. Like that's really, really, really bad. Anything over 20, I don't want. But man, anything over like 60, I don't want to go outside. That's way too high. All right, what's going on here as far as, okay, so we've got moderate drought warnings over in Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio, as well as Michigan, between Pennsylvania and New York, drought as well. Interesting how they've gone from winter storm, major rain, major wind and fire warnings, and now drought. Well, part of me wonders if they're throwing drought on willy-nilly to say that the weather's been going nuts. I don't know, it's just strange. Moderate winter weather advisory over in northern New Mexico, southern Colorado, and southeastern Arizona. No, I'm sorry. Southeastern Arizona is under a moderate freeze warning. And central Arizona around Phoenix is severe flood watch. Southern California has sporadic severe winter weather watches with moderate winter weather advisory closer to Bakersfield. And East Central California and West Central Nevada, we have moderate winter weather advisories. And what are these? Are these sneaker waves, gale winds? We have Central California beach hazards statement, rip currents, and sneaker waves. And if you can remember from last night, that the father and the 7-year-old daughter, 25-foot wave snuck up on him, dragged the daughter into the water. The father held on, trying to save her. They both died. The mother also got brought in too, but she survived. She made it out. Oof. Take those waves seriously. They're called sneaker waves for a reason. Moderate hazardous seas warning in Oregon and Washington. Not saying they didn't take it seriously. I would believe that they probably had no idea that there was even that warning. All right, we're just going to click on the red warnings and the rest of the world. Ooh, Portugal, man. What is up? 150? That is not good. Not good. Oh my gosh. Guys, look at India. India's like, you think that's bad? We live in this. This is us all the time. 242. Oh my gosh. Are these people mutated to survive, or are people dying all the time? Are people just dropping dead all the time in India? What is the life? You know what? What is the life expect? I need to know this now. Okay, so it looks like the infant mortality rate is very high. 24 deaths per 1,000 live births, whereas in the U.S. it's 5.6 deaths per 1,000 live births. So it looks like if they're going to pass away, it's going to be when they're just born. It's very sad. India's life expectancy at birth is around 72 years. U.S. life expectancy is 78.4 years. So 78.4 years is expected for the vast majority of people. And we have far more people able to even get to those years. By the way, guys, set your freaking sights higher than this. 78 years. No. I think humans are capable of living at least up to 120 years. I think, in ancient Egypt, when they would say goodbye, it would be like, may you live 120 years. Like, may you reach your limit. And we have people on record living that long. I think that's the maximum human capacity. Or maybe not even maximum. Maybe that was just a standard. I don't know. I think we're all being... Imagine what humans are capable of. I would have loved to meet or be able to go back in time and just experience what it was like to be around real humans that haven't been diluted by toxicity and environmental constraints like frequency, radiation, things like that. What is the human really capable of? All we're seeing right now are a bunch of humans walking around having been exposed to generations of toxins. And from our clothing to... Anyway, totally off topic. Let's get back on it. Whew, man. All right. Whoop. All right, any red... What's going on here? I remember this yesterday, actually. Severe rain. Yeah, very heavy rain. Extreme. What is up with this? Okay, 500 is the maximum you can go to. So for some reason, this area is far beyond detection. What they're capable of detecting. When did this happen? Today, At 7 p.m., it was at 62. I think that's local time. 1 hour later, it shot up sky high. Everyone should avoid all physical activity outdoors. This is on their mountain? Is there a volcanic eruption over here? All right, so I just did a investigation into this. So this meter, this is getting picked up supposedly on this island here off of South Korea. I looked at it on, whoops, which one is this? On satellite. I mean, there are trails, sorry, hiccups, coming off of China. But I don't think that's responsible for this. So I talked to ChatGPT about it. Basically said a large nearby fire. There aren't any. I looked. Yeah, there's nothing over here. There's some around it, but there's none there. I don't believe the smoke from here would be responsible for that. Saying more likely a local industrial release, accident, desert dust. No. See, that makes sense. And then I sent it its exact location. Said more likely it's just a faulty or overwhelmed sensor on the West Ridge, not an atmospheric event. I am proud of ChatGPT though, because one of the things it said initially was unreported geoengineering or aerosol testing as one of the possibilities. Large spikes to AQI 500 have been documented during coordinated aerosol releases, stratospheric injection experiments, boundary layer aerosol tests. Nice, ChatGPT. But it said more likely it's a faulty meter not placed in the best spot because it's at the edge. If it were military chaff, explosion, pollution, it wouldn't hit only one geotagged point. Yeah, but there's only 1 meter around. Anyway, let's keep an eye on that. So I did want to check up on one more thing on this, because if it was faulty, I wanted to see its record. It looks like a pretty accurate meter to me. Oh, look, another spike. Then I went to see what day it happened. It was between Wednesday and Thursday that it occurred. And then last week, it also occurred between Wednesday and Thursday. Yeah, I don't think that's a faulty meter. I think whatever's going on is scheduled on this date. The time that it began doesn't match. It looks like it was pretty consistent. And then at 3 p.m. local time, it shot up to 500 and came back down 4 hours later. This week, it shot up at 8 p.m. And it's been going ever since. I mean, it could be excess wind, it could be something, but let's keep an eye on that, because if we notice that this happens again around the same day, then I would say this is maybe some kind of illegal burn operation out there. Or maybe it's legal, I don't know. Or maybe it's military. I'm still wondering why certain areas of the U.S. maxed out the meter. I could not find a reason for it. One of those times was in Arizona and again in New Mexico, and I could not find a cause. All right. 157. Earthquake? All right. Alrighty then, as far as tropical systems, we have FINA. north of Australia. This little girl has been just moving around in circles. Actually, you know what? They've been expecting it to turn, but it hasn't yet. Interesting. But yeah, no other tropical systems. Ooh, that Arizona dust, the Saharan dust, is Arizona, African Saharan dust, is now back where it has been. We shouldn't have any tropical systems forming in this area. And that's where a lot of them come from. So that's the reason we haven't had so many hurricanes this year. Where am I? Oh, I'm back here again. Yeah, that is a unique reading. I wish we could see what it really is, what the actual level is. All right, we already looked at AQI. Let's scooch on up. Let's go to the middle of the day, 2 p.m. Nitrogen dioxide moves with the sun normally. But it looks like, did we even get a break today? I guess that was the best it was. Still pretty high in this part. These areas, PM 2.5. Not too bad. Not great over here. Aerosols, not too good down here, which is where the vast majority of those trails are, by the way. Sulfur dioxide, ooh. Really bad over here. Do we have fires up there? No. Let's check our other fire source. Yeah, I mean, not nearly as prevalent as they are in other areas. I mean, there could be a really big one or something, but it doesn't look like that. And sulfur dioxide's been pretty bad down there as well. I don't understand why this is happening here. Looks like it came from Canada. Mexico's had that for, gosh, over a month now straight. The predictions show that it should improve, but I've seen that before where it just doesn't. Let's hope it does. Sulfur dioxide. Surface ozone, not too bad, except for maybe these areas. Carbon monoxide concentration, as per usual, this area, not really anything. All right, fire danger, it's improved. I mean, pretty extreme down here, but already went through weather warnings. Extreme temperature, extremely cold for what's normal, extremely warm for what's normal. The entire country is pretty much under a high pressure zone, except for, these small little areas here. We already looked at the smoke. Something's going down over here. Earthquakes. Not seeing anything abnormal, but I will just click on some. 4.5 down there. 5.0 down there. 5.0. Nothing over here where that interesting AQI is. 5.0, 4.8, 4.5. Those are most likely aftershocks of the same earthquake. All right, and now the bird migration map is actually created using NEXRAD. That's why it looks like the NEXRAD map. The Doppler bounces off of the birds in apparently such a unique way that they can identify what is birds and what isn't, and that is supposedly what is responsible for the bluish green that you see here. Now, yeah, most of the time I would say it does correlate, but A lot of the time it doesn't. This side probably hasn't started glowing yet because the sun is still setting. But yeah. All right, we already looked at this, but I'll show you a full picture. There we go. Oh, okay, yeah. I was wondering why the squares are so big. They just hadn't fully loaded yet. All right, let's check out some news. Texas activates emergency resources as severe storms and potential flooding target the central and southern plains. Many locations, including Oklahoma City, Tulsa, Shreveport, I don't think I've ever read that out loud, Louisiana, have not recorded measurable rainfall since the end of October. Let's hear what the normies have to say, shall we? Yes, this area. This area. But on the severe warning map, I believe it only showed this area of the country under severe flood watches.
Look at the rain threat, which will fill in this morning. OKC, Tulsa, Oklahoma, looking really nice. We're starting to see the clouds fill in, and we'll see that moisture inflow build throughout the day. But until then, I think your morning's going to be okay. When you look at radar, we've also now placed, along with radar, that level 1 storm threat from the Storm Prediction Center. It's a 1 out of 5. So it's a broad area of an isolated threat that goes from Texas, a little bit of New Mexico. It looks like New Mexico now included in that on the southeastern side, but all the way into Joplin, Missouri, and a little bit of Arkansas as well. Some of these areas, by the way, when we talk temperatures, we had a record high, a record warm November day out of, I believe that was Fort Smith, Arkansas. Regardless, we've been watching the heat here too. So with the threat, there is some moisture over New Mexico right now, but quiet over Texas. A little bit of a dry line also too for West Texas, and a front right over the Red River Valley. So we'll see how things spur up through the day, but ultimately waiting on this trough. Ooh, water vapor satellite. Thanks, Matthew.
Yeah, it's a nice look, right? You've got that digging trough out to the west, and that's sending lobes of energy. It's also tapping into some Pacific moisture. So we don't yet have much of a response from the Gulf. The Gulf is going to act up later on, the Gulf of Mexico, because the winds and how they're oriented.
Oh, he called it the Gulf of Mexico. Just kidding.
Is feeding in that mid-level moisture.
Yeah.
But it's, you know, it's just a couple of minutes after 8, and we're waiting for storms this afternoon. So we've got several hours to go.
I also think it's impressive that closed low.
That was from this morning. Yeah, I do wonder what updated information will come out. So there was a volcanic eruption at Indonesia's Mount Semeru. This is not near the area that we were watching. It sends ash over 6,500 feet into the sky, threatening air traffic. Let's check this out. All that lightning. Yeah, I don't know. You can choose from living near a volcano, live in an area where earthquakes can happen, hurricanes, tornadoes, major droughts, major floods. What are the other big ones? Tornado, hurricane, earthquake, tsunami. That can occur anywhere though. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like tornadoes are the worst because they can occur in the middle of the night while you're sleeping and rip your house apart. Volcanoes can do that too. But at least you always knew that there was one there. And I feel like you would hear the explosion before the issue got to you. You'd have time to get out. I don't know. They're all pretty bad. Hawaii is getting snow. Here I was thinking I'd go to Hawaii for the winter.
My friend stayed for 2 more days.
At your house?
No, I brought them up here on Thursday
That's Hawaii.
for the sunset. But if they stayed for 2 more days, they would have to see snow.
Oh, yeah.
This is kind of fun to watch. Whoa. What's that thing?
Steve, I'm going to go through shipping receiving.
Wow. It's like Alaska. Speaking of Alaska, polar night begins. Alaska City won't see the sun for the next 64 days. Are these people living there for the next 64 days? And if so, do they go crazy? Humans need the sun. We need the circadian rhythm. Do these people go crazy? Are they crazy? Let me know.
Polar night begins today.
Very exciting. And we are now joined by Mark Mahaney, a photographer who traveled to the frigid Alaskan town to document the darkness that takes over the town each year. So
cool.
First off, thank you so much for joining us. And we had a question for you. What made you want to travel to Alaska to take these photos of the phenomenon known as the polar night?
Thanks for having me. I make my living as an editorial and commercial photographer, and I was really hungry to try to find a project to do for myself. And I was doing research and found this headline about this town that was about to enter into 65 days of sustained darkness, and I was immediately hooked. And so I didn't quite know what I was going to do for the project, but I booked tickets and I went.
Well,
So-
I will say it was a brave adventure, because with photography, of course, you need the light, and going to a place that's dark, you have to be creative, which some of these images that we're looking at right now, quite compelling. Was there a personal connection that you had, or did you just want to travel and experience Alaska? North of the Arctic Circle, I should say, too.
Exactly. It's about 320 miles north of the Arctic Circle. It's a very, very bizarre place. There's no roads that lead there. There's no fresh food other than what is hunted and killed, like in whale hunts and polar bear and things like that. And I didn't necessarily have a connection to the town itself, but I just wanted to put myself into a situation that was challenging, and I certainly achieved that.
Wow.
Wow. Well, you briefly just touched on it, but could you explain what it was like experiencing the polar night firsthand, and how long were you there for?
So I was there for the last 12 days, I believe. I left the day the sun came up. It was a very intense place to be. During that time of year in the town, the crime spikes. It's, I believe, the highest suicide rate in the entire country.
What did I say?
Like, different abuse goes up. The local police department gets random calls from citizens saying that they feel disoriented. They don't know what time of day it is. They don't know the day of the week it is. And so it's a very kind of energetically a very heavy place. And it was, I feel like it kind of charged the project for me a little bit because I felt that heaviness. And so, but otherwise it's just sort of a normal town. There's a supermarket, a police station, a pizza parlor, things like that. But it's just blanketed under darkness. And So yeah, it's
No. Who took over 2 months of that? No, absolutely not.
it's a bizarre place. It was like landing on the surface of the moon when we touched down in the plane.
Yeah, I believe it. 2 storms loom over the busy Thanksgiving week, potentially impacting millions of travelers. The first storm system is expected to develop next week on Monday, the 24th, and bring rain to the southern plains as it tracks into the southeast and potentially the mid-Atlantic or northeast through Tuesday. So this is probably what that other video was also referring to, with the plains possibly being under a flood watch in the future. But Texas is under the severe flood watch right now, and they have issued the, emergency resources for Texas.
That are going to be filling up. So let's go ahead and show you something that might give some of you anxiety, but crowded airports. We have the roads, the skies that are going to be filling up. So as we show you this video, consider it, as my producer called it, exposure therapy. Have you heard of that? I guess you just expose somebody to it. And
And it's okay.
Yeah, you adjust, you work through it. I always pull you into my shots early.
I'll trust that.
Well, it makes sense, right? I mean, I see those images and it stresses me out. You talk about the Thanksgiving forecast. Thanksgiving is next week. So we're in that period of planning your travel and getting your things together. And AAA says more than 80 million Americans are going to be joining you on that trot home. When you talk about the forecast, this is Monday through Tuesday, which some people wait until Monday. They hope maybe it's a little less busy.
Yeah.
We do have rain for the Pacific Northwest. And then we actually have, this system will stay off to the north. This one will exit this way. Both are going to bring some sort of impact.
Yeah, and the signal's there. I mean, the one that we're watching that's going to be through the southern plains, that one is the one that'll move ashore by Thursday of this week.
Tomorrow.
So there are pieces that are coming together that I think give us at least a fairly confident picture of what next week is going to look like. You know, we complain often about how tough it is to look at that crystal ball when we're looking at hurricane season. This is another week of those yearly forecasts that we kind of dread.
Yeah.
Because knowing what's going to happen that week of Thanksgiving, while very important, there are some changes. So we just have to talk very vaguely. We have to dance around it.
I know. Well, when I used to do traffic, people would ask me, like, what's going to be the commute tomorrow at like 8 a.m.? I go, I don't know. Is there, maybe there's a crash.
Yeah.
Maybe there's some.
They don't know. Woo! We went on a lot of side quests today, didn't we? And by we, I mean me. You are just a victim, a viewing victim. Let's zoom in. I'm going to look at these far western states and then the far eastern states, and then we'll check out the central region. I will be trying to ignore the central states so we can focus just on the outskirts. Man, this tower always emits that radial signature there. Men. And this one, that one does that a lot. I'm noticing the little unique patterns that these towers have. Like, that's what this one does sometimes. And then this tower here will show like a perfect radial signature. Unique to those towers. Looks like there's trails in here, but I think we've already confirmed that. Lots of activity over here in California. I always want to sing the South Park version of that song, and I stop myself because I don't want to offend anybody. But it goes, Cartman sings it, California, the land of the homeless. Guys, I lived there. It's true. All right. This tower went out. And by the way, when NextRad stops transmitting to the server, the precipitation essentially looks like it's disappeared. Look at it. So anyone living here would looked at radar and been like, oh, there's nothing overhead. But actually there was. You see the zip-zappery going on in Southern California? That is 24/7. All the time. Never stops. Never seen it stop. The only place in the country like that. It's a unique one. Mr. Grinch. Definitely trails in here. That glow is supposedly from the birds. Might not be. Lots of, gosh, there's like static going on here. Lots and lots of tower activity moving on through here. Again, I believe there is still smoke over here further south, but that's a lot. I do wonder what that's about. It looks like I can see those little radial pulses emanating from things that are not. Next red towers again. Oh yeah, look at that. My gosh, this area was on fire. Ooh, it's been acting up like that every morning. You know, actually, I remember it was all night. So hold on. Was it all night last night? All night long. I would say it really started being nuts around 3:55. To 15:25. Yeah. It's like 15 hours. No, not wait. Was it 3:25? Oh, okay. So 12 hours. Yeah, look at that. All the way up to South Carolina. And this is close to the area that we have severe fog. I don't know what that's about. It is odd. And by the way, we've been seeing this every day. But the birds have not been here for every one of those. For most of them, I believe. So, because I remember thinking, oh, maybe it's something about the morning and birds flying through. But no, there were no birds here. A couple times that we saw that. Let's see the middle. So I noticed this last night, that storm moving through here did have that rippled radar, but only once. Only one time. One time I let it slide. If we see it bombarded, then I know something weird's going on with that storm. Tower starts emitting more. Besides the fact that that precipitation has trails in it, nothing else worth mentioning. Lots of activity here shooting out in all directions in Texas. We already talked about that area. Looks like there's trails coming through here. Looks like this tower here is having a hard time picking up information in this region. Nothing else worth mentioning, I don't think. I'll let it play through one more time, and then we'll check out trails and finish up the show. Okay. Let's check out trails. Now, we kind of already did this, didn't we? Yeah, I mean, they're everywhere. Over Florida. Every state. Jeez. Now, California doesn't have active ones overhead, but in the Pacific, they're coming in through haze. There's trails being left here in Mexico that are contributing to what's coming into the U.S. I don't know it's the US doing it or if it's Mexico. Probably the US. Lots of trails over here in Canada. There's also theories, guys. Like, one of my theories is maybe the vast majority of these really are persistent contrails. And they're existing so in such an unusual rate and for such an unusual amount of time because there are geoengineering programs going that are throwing massive amount of particulates into the sky. And when you have a lot of particulate in the air and the atmosphere where the planes are flying, it can condensate easier and for a longer period of time. Like a plane flying over wildfires will often show long contrails. So is it that every single plane we see has a ton of trails, or not every single plane, but or at certain altitudes is there so much added particulate that they're showing it? I don't know. I mean, yeah, Dane Wigington took flying laboratories with top scientists into the trails all over the country, found that strontium, barium, aluminum, among other things, did I say titanium? Polymers, things like that, were found in the trails. Now, remember, jet fuel doesn't contain any of that. It's 99% kerosene and 1% other materials that don't contain aluminum, barium, or strontium, or titanium, or these other additives. So where's it coming from? Why is it in our rain? Why is it in the trails? Why is it in our urine when we go do a total tox kit at Vibrant Health? I recommend you do that. Why is it in our soil? Did I already say that? All right, we already checked out this satellite. We got trails down here heading into Chile and Argentina, which we've been seeing for the last week. We have trails in this system heading over to Europe, coming in from Canada. We've got trails all over the frickin' US and some coming in from Mexico and, yeah, plenty in here in the Pacific. We are in the Southern Pacific. I remember seeing this yesterday. Maybe I did see it yesterday because that was the first frame of the day. Maybe I saw it last night. Yeah, I think I did. Can't see obvious trails in here, but there's, for some reason, it makes me think that there are some in there, but again, I can't tell you for sure. I can't see them, so it's just my opinion. There might be some in there. It looks like there's some over here, but we already saw that heading into Chile and Argentina. Those are heading into Mexico, which are heading into the US. I know they had them the other day, but I'm not seeing anything obvious over here. Definitely showing evidence throughout here, though. I mean, those could be what those are. I believe I saw this right before that whole area turned black. I believe there were a bunch of lines that did that. Might be trails in here. Okay, there's trails there. I believe there's trails in here. I do see some on the outskirts, but maybe not, loading up the area. I can't tell for sure. Could just be a couple of actual persistent contrails along the outskirts. You know, it's not like this. It's not like what we're seeing over here over the US. There's that tropical system to the north of Australia. Not seeing anything. By the way, let me know if you can ever hear people outside, because I do have my window open. And sometimes there'll be people or like kids playing basketball out front. And I think my microphone blocks that kind of stuff out. Yeah, Pakistan looks like they've got trails overhead again that are flowing on over. Interesting. Looks like they're starting in Afghanistan, possibly even Iran. Looks like Kazakhstan looks like they have a lot of trails overhead again, right over here, and Russia. Flowing on over into China. And that's where that mysterious AQI is. Maxed out AQI. Wonder what that is. All right, so I finally loaded it up. It looks like they start in Iran, and then they go up into the southern portion of Afghanistan, but then mostly disperse over Pakistan. Looks like they might actually be, yeah, okay, so that those possibly are just contrails, because every single trail you see isn't lasting. Well, hold on, let's see, like there's one right there. Let's see if we can track that. Okay, wait, there's an easier one. This one right here. So that one wasn't there 2 hours earlier. Now it's there. Now it's there. Those were likely persistent contrails. Just happened to be lasting, happened to go for maybe 2 to 4 hours. It can happen. It's not like the ones in the US that go from like 7 to 24 hours. Lots of trails heading in over here. Trails over, plenty of them over Spain and Portugal. See all that? Ooh. Lots of them up here as well. Lower altitude. I did see some out here before. I had loading issues. Yeah, and lots out here. right, guys. Well, that's the show. I hope you had a great time. All right, I'll see you tomorrow. Have a good night. Bye-bye.